Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And this is Twelfth Doctor, that podcast where we cross over with Troll 2. Because this week we watched Knock Knock.
Written by Mike Bartlett.
Directed by Bill Anderson.
And aired on May 6th, 2017.
Alright, so, Knock Knock. Mike Bartlett hasn't written for the show before, and never will again, or at least he hasn't yet. I suppose there's nothing stopping from Chris Chibnall from bringing him back, but as of now, he hasn't returned.
And I'm okay with that. Like, this wasn't that great of an episode.
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. It was just another one in the pile, just mediocre. Kind of like Smile.
I don't know, I enjoyed this episode. I really liked David Suchet in it, which is what my tweet from 2 years ago said, that David Suchet basically made the episode. So...
What, you mean you didn't like Pavel, Paul, and Shireen and whatever, Justine or whatever her name was?
The other one.
I wrote down all their names. We got Pavel, we got Paul, Felicity, Harry, and Shireen.
Felicity. Harry. These are the kind of names you come to Doctor Who for. Remember when we had that theory that all the supporting characters in season 1 were going to be named with A's?
Yeah, and they were.
And then the ones in season 2 were going to be B's, and it worked for like one episode, and then it just fell apart.
Yeah.
What letter would be beyond now? Like AA, Aaron, and that's like the only AA name I can think of. Anyway, that's all I have on production and the scroll through time to find Dylan's old tweet segment of this show.
We did say we were time travelers, and we were right.
Oh, let's not remember that escapade.
Anyway, I guess we should just jump right into the episode, which starts with a vocal song.
Yeah, my first note is, why did they choose the weirdest song to start this episode with? And I don't even remember what song it was now.
I don't think it was like a famous song. I think it was just a non-famous one.
Oh, yes, that good category of songs. The famous ones and the not famous ones.
You ever think about how some songs are just completely lost and will never be heard again?
I guess, yeah.
Sucks.
Wow, I like how the wiki doesn't even tell you what song it is, but it has
They
all
don't
the other
even know.
songs in the episode.
Nobody even knows what song it is. That's how not famous it is. Maybe they made it for this episode.
That would be weird. That would be weird.
It's like 30-minute segment, like record an entire song, hire a band.
That would be so weird.
Remember when they made the song for 10 and used it for like 1 minute?
Not even. And it wasn't even a prominent part of the episode. It was just some background singer singing it for 1 minute. Easily missable if you weren't paying attention.
And then they made like another version that they put on like some Doctor Who albums that they released. And like that wasn't even a prominent thing. It was never used in the show.
The weird world of Doctor Who music. Not the incidental music, the vocal music. Throwback to this song, The Ballad of the Lost Chance Saloon.
Reminder that Dudley Simpson like randomly put the Doctor Who theme for once in the episode in Meglos and never did it again.
I totally forgot about that too.
Some weird choices on Doctor Who music. Weirder than Star Cops, actually.
Not even weirder than that opening title song. I mean, the biggest twist would be if the song at the start of this episode was that song, and we just like, we're so out of it, we didn't even notice.
In the shelter of the moonlight, in the shadow of the sun. I forgot the rest.
Reach across the stars.
Let them know you're with me? Is that what it says?
But anyway, this vocal track serves as the backdrop for this montage of Bill and her 5 friends looking for a 6-bedroom place at an affordable price in London?
Good luck with that. It's like one of the top 5 most expensive places in the world to live, I think.
It's number one where we live. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think, we're in the top 5 as well. I think like Dubai is probably like number 1.
Probably.
You know, Dubai made an island that looks like a palm tree.
Yes.
It's like only visible from planes. Like if you're on the ground, it just looks like any other piece of land.
Hey, Dubai's this whole own topic.
Anyway, yeah, they're looking for a place. I guess Bill moved out of her stepmom's house.
Or wants to.
No, she did. I mean, that would be weird
at the
if she
end
was
of this
still
episode,
leaving. Maybe she moves back at the end of this, Good point.
Well, first they get shown this tiny house that's got all 6 bedrooms, they're all 100 square feet. And the 6th bedroom's just like a closet. Just like a closet with a bed in it.
Well, they're walking through the house with
the real estate agent.
Yeah, I guess. He's like, "Here, welcome to bedroom number 3. Doesn't have a door."
Yeah, because it's just the landing between the 2 floors.
Yeah, with a oversized couch stuffed on it. Anyway, after examining multiple houses, they come across a sort of sketch landlord guy just creeping around the real estate agency.
I was like, why didn't he just put the house up for sale or rent at the real estate agency? Why does he just creep outside?
Yeah, just put it on Zillow.com. Or, go to Craigslist.
Craigslist 6-bedroom haunted house. Low rent. No electricity.
No, this is what you'll find on Craigslist, a too good to be true deal, way too good to be true, $0. And then in the fine print's female only. I've literally seen that a bunch of times on Craigslist. And you're like, wow, seriously? Even as a joke, someone actually went through with bothering to set this page up.
Well, he's just creeping outside and he's like, "You guys looking for a house? I've got a house." And they're like, "Yeah, sure. You're not creepy at all."
Yeah, none of these people think this is weird. But he takes them to this haunted house.
I don't know why this is so funny.
Well, it's because looking back on the episode, why do none of them find this odd?
Yeah, why did none of them except the doctor find this odd?
And even when the doctor points out so this guy who was just kind of hanging out brought you to this really sketchy mansion and it's super cheap, and they're just yeah, that's what happened. So they're getting settled in the house. Nothing too out of the ordinary yet, but all the floors and basically everything in the house creaks, and most of it's made of wood.
There's no electrical sockets that work for anything in this century.
Yeah, so this episode implies that Britain had to change their power outlets, which I never knew of this before, but that sounds really, or it sounds like a hassle.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And clearly I didn't bother to look it up. But on the first night in the house, one of them dies. Pavel.
Yeah, Pavel. He puts on a record.
Yeah,
that I
freaking
guess he just
hipster.
owns. And it plays, and...
It plays a classic piece of classical music, I forget.
A classic piece of classical music.
Yeah.
Nice.
But we hear his screams of terror.
Yeah, he stays the first night while everybody else is like, "We're going to move in tomorrow." Pavel's like, "Well, I'm getting kicked out tonight, so can I move in tonight?" Wait, you waited till the night you were getting kicked out to look for houses?
Oh, I didn't get the impression that montage was over one day. Oh, maybe it was. But yeah, he dies. When everyone else moves in, they're like, "Oh, that Pavel, he always just locks himself in his room for 3 days at a time."
Cool.
Can't you start to smell dead bodies a day after they die?
Yeah, but he wasn't dead.
Oh yeah,
yet.
he was just trapped in the wall. flashbacks to Troll 2 with that guy who gets like potted in a planter.
And dies. But seems remarkably calm about the whole thing. He's just like, yeah, this is how I die. Man, we gotta watch Troll 2 again.
Yeah, I should make it tradition to watch Troll 2 once a year. You know, I already watch the Star Wars Holiday Special every Thanksgiving.
Should watch Troll 2 every Halloween.
You know, I'll just do it every January to commemorate watching it for triple play. Or yeah, Halloween is fitting as well.
Halloween's coming up soon.
Yeah. I remember in the behind the scenes for Troll 2, that guy actually did have to stand in that pot for like 12 hours or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he just seems so over it.
Probably.
Well, they're moving in. I guess the doctor's just like selling out here to help Bill move all his stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he even makes some snide comments about how like the TARDIS isn't a moving agency. Like, I shouldn't be helping you with this, but he's doing it anyway.
Bill's like, you should be doing this because you could make tons of money doing this because you literally need no physical labor. Even though the doctor just parks the TARDIS outside the house when they arrive.
Yeah. Well, there's a scene where Bill is like, I want to, move in or bring my stuff in on my own. I don't want this to be like weird. I don't want my new friends to think I'm weird.
Yeah, because all our friends are from the college where the doctor lectures and they all know him from his lectures, so...
Right, and right now, Bill sort of passes this off as the doctor being a grandfather.
Mm-hmm. The doctor doesn't buy it. He's like, I don't look old enough to be your grandfather.
Yeah, he does. He does.
She's like, you looked in the mirror.
But they all go with the grandfather story, and they think it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, because his lectures are cool, apparently. Remember, TARDIS means life. Almost forgot about that thing that Stephen Moffat introduced in that first episode. Thanks, Stephen. You the man.
So they're all moving in. Some guy named Paul is very obviously
into Bill.
Yeah.
But she eventually, later on, she tells him off. And he's like, oh, I was never even in the running because you like girls. Haha, great. All right, good night.
Guess I'll go die.
He seems to take it pretty well. Pretty well. But the doctor's like, something's really weird about this house. And Bill's like, no, everything's fine. Not everything has to be an adventure. And he's like, something's pretty weird here.
So he ostensibly leaves.
But like 3 hours later, everyone's gathered in like, I guess the living room. And Paul's like, hey, there's like big party tonight. We should all go. And they just hear like ruckus in the closet and they open it up. And it's just the doctor rummaging around in the closet.
And they're like, wow, you're still here.
And then the landlord just like awkwardly shows up and he's like, any problems, guys? And they're like,
yeah, well, we can't access the tower. The electrical sockets don't work. Everything creaks, and we don't like it here. I was like, you should have maybe examined the house a little bit more before signing away your souls to Satan. Because there's literally a scene where the landlord is like, just sign here, and the house is yours.
No one reads the contract.
Exactly, they just sign. But he's like, yeah, I guess I'll get all that stuff fixed in the morning.
Bill asks if he has a cat, and he says no. She's like, yeah, we've heard like something in the walls, and he's like, no cats. And Bill's like, The doctor asks the landlord who the prime minister is. He asks if it's Margaret Thatcher or Harriet Jones.
He kind of just evades the question, pulls out a tuning fork and hits it against the wall.
He's like, enjoy the night.
So the doctor is obviously still suspicious.
Yeah, Bill's like, okay, you can leave now. And he's like, okay. She's like, you're not going to leave, are you? He's like, nope. But then I guess everybody decides to go to bed. This is when Paul asks Bill out more explicitly. And she's like, no, I'm into girls. He's like, all right, chill. And he goes into his room and he starts screaming. Like,
they're like, oh, Paul, you jokester.
But then all the doors start knocking and Bill's like, okay, something's weird. Doctor was right. This is pretty weird.
This is where I noticed that Paul had like a 90s boy band earring in one ear. Yeah, but anyway, only Bill and Shireen are upstairs while Harry and Felicity are down with the doctor.
Right.
Yeah, the doctor actually doesn't leave now that I remember. He's actually just like, yeah, I'll just hang here with like Harry and Felicity. Just like
Because
a
they
little
think
odd.
it's cool because he like steals Bill's phone, starts playing some music,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
a band called Little Mix. And the doctor's like, I love this band. And Felicity's like, you love this band? I love this band. The doctor's like, wow, cool. We've got something in common.
Yet they all like make fun of Bill for liking this music,
Yeah.
but not
It's a little-
Felicity.
Little weird. Little weird.
But anyway, the doctor and Felicity and Harry find out that they're trapped in the house.
Because all the shutters start closing, and Felicity's like, no, I can't be trapped here. And she like,
Jumps out the window,
she jumps out the window.
Jason Bourne style. Jesus Christ, it's Felicity. She dies.
She runs outside. She's like, gotta call the cops. But there's like no signal at the house. But she gets taken by a tree.
Yeah. This is the first indication that like the trees are behind this.
Well, about the same time, Bill and Shireen get into Pavel's room, and they find him half in the wall because the music's still playing. The landlord comes in, he's like, this won't do. Let's turn off the music. And he turns it off, and Pavel just gets sucked into the wall, and the landlord's like, he's part of the wall now. He's one with the house. And they're like, okay, that's pretty weird. Can we go? He's like, no. He says something like, you signed the contract. Now you have to pay. Like, wow, I should have read that contract.
Yeah.
Read the fine print. You have to pay with your life.
I was listening to the news on the radio recently for once, and I heard they were playing some story about some woman who like read the fine print on a contract, and it was like, and if you read this, you're guaranteed to like $600 from us. Just let us know, and we'll like send you the $600. And she was like the only person who like read the fine print up until that point, so she got like, the money.
Wow.
I was just making up the $600. It was just some amount of money.
Well, there was a band. I don't remember which band it was now. Was it Kiss? I don't know. Well, there was a band, and they always used to, in their contracts, to like perform at venues, right? They like required very specific safety standards to be upheld. So in order to check that people
spitting blood on the audience, we require
well, just like
very
for their
specific safety
equipment, like on stage, they like required certain things to be like set up properly.
Yeah, all right.
And in order to check that the venue like read the contract, they had this just random line in there that was like, we require a bowl of green M&Ms in the changing room, like specifically like only green M&Ms or something. So if they went to their changing room and there was just like a bowl of all colored M&Ms, or if the bowl of green M&Ms wasn't there, they knew that the venue didn't read the contract and they didn't perform. It's very interesting.
Who would like read the contract up until that point and then just not read the part about them being the M&Ms being green and just be like, well, I guess they want M&Ms. Or I guess they'd just be like skimming it and you say, M&Ms, okay, what's next, But like
someone just gives them a bowl of green Skittles. Even better, just a bowl of like half green Skittles, half green M&M, so that you don't know what you get. I mean, they feel different in your hand, but
yeah, when they have different shapes. Plus, Skittles have S's on them, and M&Ms have M's.
Oh wait, let's just assume they like wiped off all the letters.
Wow,
going pretty far with this practical joke.
Yeah. Plus, again, M&Ms and Skittles are different shapes. It's very obvious when you're faced with the dilemma of choosing between M&Ms and Skittles that are otherwise undistinguishable. Skittles are larger. M&Ms are smaller and flatter.
Well, what if they're the big M&Ms? What if they're peanut M&Ms, which are bigger?
But those are different shapes.
What if they're the coconut M&Ms, which are like bigger than regular M&Ms, but smaller than the peanut M&Ms?
This is beyond my area of expertise. Now we're getting into the weird, like, one-off, like, special M&Ms packs.
They had those weird special 3 flavors at the beginning of this year, and one of them was like jalapeno.
Whoa.
And then there was like Thai coconut milk or something. And I'm like, what is going on?
Huh.
Anyway, the Doctor and Harry are being chased by the super termites, I guess.
Yeah, because the Doctor thinks that it's an alien life form behind this. And like last week, we don't actually find out if these things are alien or if they're just like a species that no one has discovered yet or something.
Yeah, the Doctor implies they're alien, but then Harry's like, you said alien, and then I guess the Doctor's trying to play off the fact that he either knows they're aliens or doesn't really know by saying, well, they could be like an undiscovered species, in like the least convincing way possible, too.
Yeah, but I like how the reveal is done because we see one of the bugs sort of just come out of a closet or something. The Doctor's like, oh, it's just a termite-like thing causing all this. And then like millions of them just start coming out. And we're like, oh God, run. And yeah, as a bug hater,
I remembered that.
I really hated this part of the episode. This was like the Green Death times 1,000.
How did you like it when those people got enveloped by the bugs? When I was watching this, I was just like, Keon's going to have a great time with this one.
The Green Death was actually worse than this, in my opinion, because those were like maggots with fangs.
Yeah, but the Green Death, you got the satisfaction of the Doctor riding around and Bessie blowing them up. I bet you didn't remember that scene. I don't even know why I remember that scene. Also, that episode had Boss. The best AI out of the like 60 that were introduced in the classic show.
There was only like 4 or 5.
Well, there was Votan.
Yeah, there's Boss Votan. A couple other ones.
Yeah, a couple other bad boys. I should go back and look at how many AI were introduced in the classic show. I feel like they fell back on that plot point a lot more looking back on it than we realized when we were watching it.
I mean, it was only like 4 or 5 times over like hundreds of episodes, literally hundreds.
Well, dozens of serials, more like.
Sure.
So the Doctor and Harry run into this closet, and Harry's like, what are we going to do in this closet? And the Doctor's like, it's not a closet, it's an elevator. And it takes them down into the cellar, where I guess all the previous contracts are just held, along with dozens of other random papers.
Yeah, I guess the landlord just like keeps his victims' stuff around.
I mean, what else would you do with it? I guess you could throw it away, but...
burn it, I guess. I don't know.
That would look suspicious. Just a giant trash fire on his front lawn every 20 years. Police come by like, excuse me, sir, what is this?
So they find out through some old contracts and pictures that this happens once every 20 years.
Yeah, was this like an important point? The fact that it was like cyclical in nature, or did they just bring this up here and just never mention it again?
No, I mean, just to show that like the landlord has been doing this since like the 50s. And I guess the lifespan that the bugs add on to Eliza, who we're gonna meet in a minute, is like 20 years or whatever.
Well, we meet her like right now because Bill and Shireen get into the tower by finding a secret door behind a bookcase, which Paul had made a joke about earlier.
Classic. Yeah, so they get into the tower and Eliza is there. Eliza is the landlord's daughter, so he says.
Yeah.
And she's a little stiff. She's made out of wood completely.
Like that wooden Cyberman. I don't know why it reminded me of that.
From a town, not a town called
final
Mercy.
Episode.
A town called Christmas. That's what the story was called.
Yeah, that's what it was called. The Time of the Doctor.
Yeah, that. So her sort of backstory is that the landlord has been transferring people's lifespan to her via the bugs or whatever, but the process has made her wood. Yeah.
Because I guess that's all the bugs know how to make is wood.
They're like anti-termites in that sense, I guess. They like create wood.
They create wood from energy. Interesting.
Do termites eat wood, or do they just like process it? Do they actually like eat it?
Isn't eating like a form of processing?
I mean, yeah, but like, you know what I mean? Like, do they eat it, or they just kind of like chew it up?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Well, the Doctor speculates that the landlord's daughter is like sick or something. He's like, I'm a doctor, I can help you. The landlord's like, okay, I guess. So he takes them upstairs, but not before Harry gets eaten by the termites too.
Yeah, this was the most gruesome death in the whole thing. The landlord is just there, and he uses the tuning fork because the bugs react to the tuning fork.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, to noise, basically.
Yeah. And Harry's just like eaten alive where he stands.
The doctor's like, wow. He gets taken to Shireen, Bill, and Eliza, and Shireen also gets eaten, I guess.
Yep. So the doctor and actually Bill figures this out. They both think it's suspicious that the landlord's daughter had this disease, back in the 50s. And he looks maybe in his 70s-ish.
Yeah, Bill points out that the timelines don't add up, because the landlord would be like 120 or 140.
Yeah.
If this were true, and the doctor's like, you're right. And also Bill's like, why would he bring a bug inside if he was like an adult? The doctor's like, everybody loves bugs. And he's like, wait, you're right. Only kids love bugs. Although, like, I don't know what the term for, like, the people who study insects in the audience are like, damn.
And
entomologists.
Yeah. So, the landlord reveals that he was actually Eliza's son, and he's been keeping her alive because he couldn't bear to watch his mother die. We don't find out what the disease was, but it's not that important. It's something that was about to kill her.
Yeah, this is actually pretty sad. He's like, if you could save the one you love, would you? And the doctor doesn't reply, and he's like, your silence is a confirmation. The doctor's like, I guess. Doesn't mean you have to kill all these people, though. And Eliza's like, you told me it was necessary. The landlord's all like, yeah, it was necessary. There was no other way.
Yeah, to keep her alive, which, he's right about that. But she's very unhappy about this, and she can actually control the bugs.
Well, the landlord originally controls the bugs with the tuning fork, but then since Eliza's like full-on bug lord wood,
yeah,
she's like, but I am the master of the bugs now. The doctor tells her to look outside because the party's going on, the fireworks are going off, and he's like, look at all the stuff you've missed. And she tells the landlord to go and live your life, stop worrying about me, go out and be, and be, basically. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it without you. We have to kill them so they don't know our secret. And she's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Guess we'll just both get disintegrated by the bugs.
And then a rogue firework blasts through the window, and they both burn alive now.
Yikes! Wow, no. That's dark.
No, she controls the bugs. I mean, what actually happens is I guess kind of dark-ish. She controls the bugs, and they both die.
Yeah, she basically, I'm Sean Connery now. She basically hugs him and is like, "It's time for us to go, my son." He's like, "But I don't want to go."
She could have just killed herself and left her son alive. I mean, would have devastated him, but
But the thing was, he wanted to kill the doctor and Bill anyway, even though he couldn't control the bugs anyway, because he was like, "Oh, if you won't do it, then I'll do it," and he gestures to start beating them up. I guess
just punch them,
beat them up. Rocky versus Machine Gun.
No, what was his name? Tommy the Machine Gun or something? But then, Tommy Gun is also a gun, which is interesting.
That's kind of weird.
Never noticed that until now.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't notice that on that episode, given how many times we probably said Tommy the Machine Gun. Probably because the way you emphasize gun is, off the word machine, machine gun. I don't know. Just making up excuses now.
I watched Creed and Creed 2 recently. Creed was pretty bad, but Creed 2 was possibly as good or better than Rocky 1.
I think they're both that good, but to each their own.
Creed 1 was not good in my opinion. Creed 1 I think is the worst Rocky universe movie.
Wow!
Creed 2 is...
Definitely put Rocky 5 in that position.
No. Creed 2 is either the best or equal to Rocky 1. Creed 2 is the only Rocky sequel that captures the spirit of Rocky 1 and possibly does that concept better. In my opinion.
Interesting. Well, hopefully they make it a trilogy so we can talk about it on Triple Play one day.
Yeah, and we don't have to use Trust Your Doctor as the venue to talk about all this stuff for a minute. But yeah, anyway, they both die.
But then they reconstitute all of Bill's friends. I'm like, man, that's going to suck. Like, do their memories stay intact? Because the doctor, the reason why he asked the landlord earlier who the prime minister was is because he was like, yeah, and also why Eliza doesn't remember that the landlord is her son is because the bugs could preserve the body, but not my memory.
Something along those lines, yeah. But remember, consequences can be rewritten. That's why they all come back to life. Anyway, they all leave the house and it just disintegrates.
Yeah. Yeah. And the doctor's like, well, another adventure solved.
Another job well done. Wonder what the neighbors think of just like waking up in the morning and the house that was standing perfectly fine next to them the night before is a pile of rubble.
Sweet, my property value went up.
Wait, why would it go up? Wouldn't it go down?
No, because you wouldn't have that eyesore of a house next door. Now you have this view of this nice park.
But the house next to you, like, it would be a known fact that the house next to you literally just, like, collapsed on itself.
You could buy the property and build a bigger house.
Also, like, it might get out, you know, the fact that, like, dozens of people were killed here. When they find the, like... I don't think the
basement full of
exactly. Like
possessions.
This was literally a basement. Like the house collapsing is not going to be enough to destroy this memorabilia and like these signed contracts of like people dying.
That would tank the property value more than the house falling down.
It's like that movie that I still don't know the name of, where Shia LaBeouf like thinks his neighbor is like a serial killer.
I don't know which one this is.
I remember talking about this like at least a year ago, and I was like, yeah, I don't know the name of this movie. I never bothered to look it up.
Did you hear about the Shia LaBeouf biopic that came out recently where Shia LaBeouf plays his dad in the movie? I heard it was actually pretty good. But I thought that was kind of weird and meta that Shia LaBeouf's playing his dad in a biopic about him.
Does he play himself as well?
No, somebody else plays him.
Odd.
Yeah. Anyway, the doctor goes to the vault where Nardol's like, something's kind of weird with these locks. The doctor's like, don't worry about it. Nardol, just go home. And he's like, no, I can fix it. And the doctor's like, nope, Nardol, go home. He's like, okay. Then you start hearing a piano play in the vault, and Nardol's like, you put a piano in there, didn't you? Doctor's like, go home, Nardol.
Yeah, so I really like we're getting a little more information about the vault every time. So this one's a little more subtle, I think, but what we learn here is that the doctor, you know, put a vault in the piano.
Wait, hang on, what? The doctor put a piano in the vault.
Yeah, that's what I meant. And that whatever's inside is capable of playing it, so possibly human in shape.
Or maybe it's just a sentient piano. You don't really know.
A piano playing a piano? Is that what this is?
No, the piano's just playing itself.
But
you ever seen those pianos that look like they're playing themselves? They're really popular around Halloween.
The doctor put the piano in the vault, like, after the fact.
Yeah, so maybe it's playing music for
a piano
or something.
And we also find out that...
The doctor brought Mexican.
Oh, yeah, that. I didn't know that, like, Britain had Mexican food, like, available.
It's probably maybe less whitewashed than American Mexican food. Like, a lot of, quote, Mexican food, unquote, in American was just invented, like, by American Mexican fast food chains.
I mean, I've had British tacos before, and they're like... I don't know how to say this. They're like the white person equivalent of, like, an actual taco.
Yeah, maybe because they're further from Mexico, their Mexican food is even less.
Yeah. And I mean, I was talking to, my cousins in Britain, and we were just playing a stupid game in a restaurant where you, like, name food and stuff. And I just said taco, and they're like, what's a taco? Like, they didn't even know, like, what it was.
One of my friend's cousins was watching the trailer for that Ford versus Ferrari movie, and he was like, this is so unbelievable. And my friend was like, this is based on a true story, right? The cousin was like, whoa, what? Anyway, yeah, the doctor goes into the vault, And the episode ends.
And we find out from the preview that Nardole goes on the adventure next week.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Looks like it's set on a creepy space station type thing.
Next week's episode is super interesting.
Huh.
It's called Oxygen. The core premise is oxygen as a currency. Anyway. I don't actually have a lot to talk about for this episode.
No, I mean, I don't either.
I feel like it's pretty straightforward. The only thing I kind of wanted to talk about was how I thought this episode was going to go was like the contract kind of thing was going to come up more, and like, you know, once you sign a contract, you have to pay up, and how this episode was going to be like the earth reclaiming the people who are destroying it, like the wood reclaiming the people and like paying back the earth almost.
No, it's just some dude.
Just some guy trying to keep his mother alive, which is also fine. I mean, it kind of touches on these themes of like love and family, especially since like Bill.
Fast and the Furious.
Great.
Family.
Bill refers to the Doctor as her grandfather, like for the whole story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's actually the one thing I wanted to talk about is seemingly another subtle Susan reference with Bill referring to the Doctor as her grandfather.
Oh, possibly. Didn't think about that.
Yeah. That's been in my mind since Susan was seen in
that picture.
Yeah.
Picture frame. Look at this photograph. Did you see that? Did you see that Trump tweeted out that picture from that music video of the guy like holding the picture, and the caption was like, "Look at this photograph." And then
I don't even know what you're talking about at all.
The song, like, by Nickelback.
I don't listen to Nickelback music.
Well, Trump tweeted out the picture from the music video where the Nickelback singer is like holding out the picture going like, look at this photograph. And Nickelback copyright claimed it. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a lot of the episodes in this season are very straightforward, and that's something we've been noticing. Maybe that's one of those classic show, like, throwback things, because a lot of the classic show episodes were pretty straightforward themselves.
Right.
With an even, like, less good message, I think, than some of the new episodes of, like, very straightforward and like, even at the end of this straightforward episode, it's like the guy accepting that he needs to die and he needs to let his mother die. But like, if you remember back to the classic show, the solution is oftentimes just like shoot the bad guy or like drive up to the giant robot and pour the robot destroying chemical on its feet or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we touched...
Bomb the Krynoid.
Bomb the Krynoid. I think we... or destroy the entire Silurian race. I think we touched upon this in the pilot, or at least I know I did, where it was like the ending was very like anti-classic because it was very like not kill the enemy or destroy the enemy. It was just
right.
like, I gotta let you go, and off you go. And that's very similar to this episode where the ending was like, it's, we've just been around too long and it's our time to move on. Almost like when the Doctor regenerates, he's like, it's my time. Most of the time. Shout out to 10 being like, I don't want to go. So.
Yeah.
But it does feel like very anti-classic, even though the episodes feel very classic in nature.
Definitely.
I wonder if there's more to that.
Feels like a throwback, actually, I would say, to maybe Series 1.
Oh, possibly. I could see that. Because a lot of those episodes were very similar to these ones, I think, in that aspect anyway.
Yeah. Series 1 is still arguably my favorite of the new show. It's either that or 7.
Interesting.
Or 9. 9 is also like really good.
Yeah, 9 was pretty good. I really like this season overall.
Yeah, I'm liking this one so far.
Except for that one bloody really terrible episode we're going to get to in 2 weeks because it's part of the 3-parter.
Oh boy, that's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, we have a 3-parter coming up. After Oxygen.
Anyway, sonic screwdriver use in this episode. I had it being used as a flashlight and for the classic unknown purpose.
As did I. I also had it being used for scanning.
Another classic purpose that it's used for in almost every episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonder what's going to happen when we get to the 13th Doctor. Wonder if its usage is going to slow down.
No spoilers. Quotes, I've got 2. Sleepers for tortoises, not Time Lords, from the Doctor. And the landlord going, hope is its own form of cruelty. Don't really have anything to say about that, just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, those are pretty good ones. I have one from the Doctor that I liked. He says, I'm against cheerful. Really like how much of a downer the 12th Doctor still is.
He's like less of a downer, though.
Yeah, definitely less.
Well, on that note, we actually have an email. It's pretty long, so buckle up. Subject line is Trust Your Doctor /triple play/miscellaneous. Hello, Dylan and Keon. First off, I want to strongly advise anyone who enjoys your podcasts to seek out the Triple Play episode on the Star Wars Holiday Special. This can be found by searching for, quote, Wookiee Vigil, unquote.
Oh my God.
Most of us, that was the title of our episode. Yeah. Most of us old enough to remember Star Wars the first time around have known this diabolical shambles was out there. The extent of its awfulness obviously came as a shock to you both, which is why the episode is so bloody hilarious. It has become my go-to pick-me-up if I ever feel down in the dumps. When Star Wars left the cinema, there was no way of watching it for at least a couple of years. All we had at my house was the poster by Hildebrandt, the novel by George Lucas, and a Princess Leia doll with a face that was more G.I. Joe than Carrie Fisher. When the holiday special was first screened in Australia, it was mendaciously advertised as being Star Wars the movie. I think the whole country sat down to watch it, and even though reality bit rapidly, we were so famished for anything Star Wars that we sat through the whole darn thing. This happened the following year, and we enjoyed it again. After listening to Triple Play, I watched it without any sense of grievance and actually enjoyed it. From where I'm sitting, the podcast and by extension the holiday special have added to the sum of human happiness. That's mighty high praise. Now to Doctor Who. In my last email, I wondered what was the point of Danny Pink. Now I know his whole existence was a plot point, so thanks for clearing that up. In relation to the 12th Doctor / Clara stories, it became very tiresome constantly having huge lumps of uninteresting story arc plonked into the plot. I saw all these episodes when they were first screened, and not even your podcasts have made me revisit them. Stephen Moffat has said that normal people who watch Doctor Who in a normal way, thanks Stephen, have no problem with his stories. But any normal person who wasn't a fan or doing a podcast would have walked away from this timey-wimey, convoluted, gloomy stuff on about day 2. As for the toxic relationship, well, you can get that by watching frigging EastEnders. It's not why most of us go to Doctor Who. The companions have always been described as a point of identification for the viewer, living in the TARDIS bubble and having larky adventures. In the Moffat era, the companions suffer pretty horrendously, and when it's over for the day, they get dumped back home and have to go into the office until the Doctor turns up again. I think the show lost something with this structure, or at least greatly changed the companion dynamic, and the change wasn't a net gain. I didn't really see the point unless it was to do something different just for the hell of it. There's no problem with Jenna Coleman's acting, and Capaldi is always great. Their unenjoyable dynamic just went on too long. Coleman's indecision about whether to stay or go gave Clara more farewell tours than kiss. When she finally left, it was like a lead weight falling off the show, and the wonderful Bill was a breath of fresh air. I'm interested to know if Keon thinks Bill will have a better time than Clara, also if he expects the all-powerful wet Heather from the pilot to return. Series 10 has a massive cul-de-sac that goes for 3 episodes, but on the whole is a great improvement. Yes, the 3-parter. David Suchet, who's in episode 4, Knock Knock, was, as you probably know, the lead in Agatha Christie's Poirot from 1989 to 2013. When asked what a meeting between the detective and the Doctor would be like, he said that it would be a good pairing because Poirot never stopped listening and the Doctor never stopped talking. Weird connection to Star Cops. Did you ever work out why the presenter of Pointless, Alexander Armstrong, looked familiar to you? He was in The Doctor, The Widow, and the Wardrobe, playing the Air Force dad who was supposed to be dead but turned up in time for Christmas. Spoilers, the Blake 7 team beat the Doctor Who team in the final showdown. It was a pleasure to see Paul Darrow and Michael Keating together, especially as Darrow has now died. Anguished outburst redacted. And this was his final television appearance. I didn't listen to the holiday special podcast after his death because even its mitigating qualities have their limitations. It's worth noting the recent loss also of Terrence Dix, who died in August. Your new podcast sounds really interesting. Children of the Stones was mentioned. When I first tried to watch this years ago, it was a dark and stormy night. I was home alone, and the opening sequence creeped me out so much that I turned it off. I'm really looking forward to what you say about it. That's it for now. Thanks again for the insights and the laughs. Best podcast ever. Warm regards, Maxie. Well, thanks, Maxie.
Yeah, thanks. There's a lot to cover.
Yeah, there's a lot of ground to cover. In regards to the holiday special podcast, I remember that basic podcast basically just being an hour of us laughing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, that's okay.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you liked it so much.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. I guess there's your third-party recommendation to go check out Triple Play.
You might enjoy Troll 2, if you now enjoy watching bad movies.
You might enjoy our episode on Troll 2 and then watching Troll 2. Because I think those are in very similar veins.
Yeah, definitely.
Much to our chagrin.
Troll 1 and 3 are also pretty bad. Troll 3, especially. Troll 1 has some redeeming qualities, I think. Troll 3 is...
I totally forgot about the travesty that was Troll 3 and how, like, the whole message of that movie was not environmentalism. It was like, industrialism is better.
Yeah, just super quick summary of that movie. Some vines are attacking people in town because they're building over their natural habitat, and the solution is to just bulldoze everything.
To kill all of them. Instead of just building the little factory on the side of their land, they just like bulldoze and like wipe out the entire habitat.
And I remember we joked like there's this scene where the bulldozers like drive in, we're like, just play Flight of the Valkyries over this.
Yeah, because they like it's just a shot of a hill, and you see these bulldozers drive over the top like all triumphantly, and it's like, I guess your reaction is supposed to be like, oh hell yeah, here come the troops, bulldozers.
Also, there's an amazing scene where like a vine like invades a guy's body and just like completely destroys it from the inside out. It's like way more violent and gruesome than anything else in the movie.
Anyway, on to the Clara and Danny stuff. I don't want to dwell on this too much because I feel like we've spent countless hours discussing Danny and Clara.
This.
And I think I would agree there's no problem with any of their acting. I don't even think there's a problem with the toxic relationship. I feel like it does serve as a point of what did you... I'm trying to remember what the exact words you used for what a companion should be. Point of identification for the viewer. I feel like it is a point of identification for some viewers. Some of us, not naming names, have been in a toxic relationship before, so seeing that played out on screen is, I don't know, feels validating, I guess.
And some of us are soldiers.
Yes, some of us are soldiers. Nice one.
No, yeah, I'll just reiterate, I think what I've always said about this is that Series 8 is just a low point in the new Doctor Who show.
Yeah, Series 8 isn't great. But I don't think it's the worst, though.
There are multiple factors that contribute to that. I think the stories themselves, even like literally just the plot of like point A to point B to point C and what the characters do, like kind of just suck in that season for the most part.
Yeah. There are some redeeming qualities, though, I think.
Sure.
Not that I'm going to drag them out into the light now. In regards to the David Suchet, yeah, I really like Poirot, actually, the TV show. I think it's pretty great.
I mean, I didn't know who he was. So wow. I guess add that to the list of things that I should know, but don't.
Well, you know now.
Yeah.
I never watched Pointless, but I know Keon did. So I guess that was a fun fact for you, Keon.
Yeah.
The new podcast, by the time this goes out, the first episode will be out. I'm not going to say should be because that gives me plausible deniability if I don't release it, but it will be out by now.
Inevitable, classic sci-fi podcast. Check that out.
Yeah, you can find that on all the major podcasting platforms. We're talking about Star Cops. Because that one guy on Twitter, Bill Kendrick, was like, do Star Cops. We were like,
so we did.
Yeah. So we did. But thanks for emailing.
Yeah, Children of the Stones, I know you bring up The intro is actually really creepy. Like, really creepy, especially for a kid's show.
Have not watched it.
Yeah, I mean, when we get to Children of the Stones on Inevitable, I think a lot of our discussion is going to be like, holy hell, like, this is aimed at kids. Like, this is actually really scary. Especially that final episode.
Can't
Final
wait.
episode is, yeah.
Can't wait. That's going to be season 2 of Inevitable. If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Already forgetting the
Yeah,
schedule.
it's season 2. Seasons 1 and 2 will be back to back, so they're not going to feel like seasons, but they are.
Yeah. But thank you for emailing us, Maxie. We really appreciate it. I appreciate all the good things you said. Definitely appreciate your insight and thoughts about Danny Pink and Clara and just that whole season in general. Always nice to hear other viewpoints, not just our two. Because I think maybe we live in a bubble sometimes on this podcast. And if there's anybody else out there who'd like to email us, you can reach us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on David Suchet. Find us on YouTube at Decorative Vegetable. You find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify, all at Trust Your Doctor. Be sure to leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast and follow us on Twitter. And next time we're going to be watching Oxygen. But until then, the end.